My name is Maya Chen. I'm 34 years old, and I sat in a probate courtroom last March and watched my stepmother's face go white when I pulled a document out of a manila folder. A document she didn't know existed. A document that would prove everything my father had been too weak to stop her from hiding. But before I tell you what happened in that courtroom, before I tell you how a will written by a dead woman became the most powerful voice in the room, I need to take you back to the beginning, to the year my mother died, and the way my stepmother slowly erased her memory. Welcome to Calm Drama Lounge. If this story hits close to home, if you've ever watched someone use financial control to reshape a family narrative, please like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely mean it. Also, I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is right now. Drop your city and local time in the comments. I want to know where my people are tonight. Now, let me take you back. I was 19 years old. My mother, Patricia Chen, was in the hospital. Pancreatic cancer, the kind that doesn't give you second chances. She was 56. She'd built a dental practice from nothing, started with one chair in a strip mall. By the time she got sick, she had 4 operatories, a staff of 8, and a patient base that loved her. She'd done that while raising me, paying for my college, planning my future. The week before she died, she called me into her hospital room. The monitors were beeping. There was a woman in the corner. I didn't know who she was at first. "This is Rebecca," my mother said, "your father's friend." Rebecca was blonde, thin, wearing a red dress in a hospital room where everyone else was in grey and white. "She's going to need help," Patricia said. Her voice was so quiet I had to lean in to hear. "When I'm gone, she's going to be alone. And your father, he's going to be alone. I need you to look after them." I was 19. I didn't understand what my mother was really asking. My father didn't marry Rebecca until a year after my mother's death. It happened fast. The funeral flowers were still pressed in the memorial program when he proposed. Rebecca moved into our house, the house my mother had decorated with care, with intention. Rebecca changed things immediately. The living room furniture went into storage. New furniture arrived, modern, cold. My mother's photographs came off the walls, family pictures, pictures of her and my father before Rebecca, pictures of the 3 of us on vacation. Rebecca packed them into a box and put them in the attic. I went to the attic one afternoon and found my mother's smile boxed up like garbage. My father said it was time to move forward. Rebecca said the old decor was depressing. I was 19, then 20, then 21. I was in college. I was trying to process my mother's death, and I was watching her be systematically erased. The dental practice was next. My mother's name came off the letterhead. A new accountant was hired. New staff was brought in. Within 3 years, nobody at the office remembered my mother clearly. She became the previous owner, the woman who used to work there, not the genius who'd built it, not the woman who knew every patient by name, not the one who stayed late to help nervous patients feel safe, just the previous owner. My father's financial situation changed too. Before my mother died, they had separate accounts. She made excellent money. She was financially independent. After my mother died, Rebecca pushed my father to consolidate everything. She convinced him it was simpler that way. She convinced him it was what my mother would have wanted. I didn't believe that for a second, but I was 21. What did I know? My father seemed happy, I told myself. That's what mattered. That's what I told myself anyway. I graduated college. I became an accountant, like my father. We were numbers people. We understood spreadsheets and balance sheets. So I should have seen it coming. But I was too busy grieving a mother I'd been forced to watch disappear twice. By the time I was 30, I realized something. I'd never seen my mother's will. It seemed a strange thing to think about, but it bothered me. My mother had been meticulous, organized. She would have had a will. So where was it? I asked my father casually one Sunday over dinner. He and Rebecca hosted dinners now. Rebecca cooked. Rebecca decorated the table. Rebecca was everywhere. "Do you have Mum's will?" I asked. He looked uncomfortable. Rebecca answered for him. Your mother didn't have one, honey. She died intestate. Everything went through probate. That didn't feel right. My mother didn't have a will, the woman who'd organized her entire life. But I let it go. I was 30. I had my own life. I was working in an accounting firm. I was dating. I was moving on, the way apparently everyone else had. My father had a heart attack in 2021. He was 68. He survived, but it was a warning, a wake-up call. He and Rebecca started talking about estate planning. One afternoon, Rebecca called me. She was very sweet on the phone, very warm. Your father and I want to make sure everything is taken care of. We'd love your help with the estate plan. I went to their house on a Saturday. Rebecca had prepared a folder. Inside were papers. All of my father's assets, the house, his investment accounts, his portion of my mother's dental practice, everything was being left to Rebecca. I was left $50,000. My father sat at the table while Rebecca explained it. He didn't make eye contact. This is what Rebecca thinks is fair, I heard him not say. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw a man who'd spent the last 12 years erasing the woman he loved to please a woman he barely knew. I stood up. That's not right, Dad. Rebecca's smile tightened. Your father and I have decided. I left before she finished. I drove home, and I couldn't stop thinking about my mother's voice. I need you to look after them. My mother had been asking me to protect her family, but I was too young to understand. Now I was old enough. Now I needed to find out the truth. I called a lawyer named Susan Price the next morning. She listened to my story. Then she asked one crucial question. Has your mother's safety boutique box ever been found? My heart stopped. I didn't know my mother had a safety boutique box. Find out, Susan said. That's where your answers are. I called my father. He didn't answer. I called again and again. Finally, he called me back. Maya, his voice was careful. Don't ask me questions you don't want answers to. And I knew there was a safety boutique box. I went to the bank where my mother had been a customer for 20 years. The manager, an older woman named Dorothy, recognized me immediately. Your mother was so kind to us, she said. I'm trying to find her safety boutique box. Do we have records? Her face changed. Come with me. In the vault, Dorothy pulled a file. Your mother opened this box in 2008, 1 year before she died. She left instructions that it was to pass to you upon her death. But your father has a power of attorney. He's been accessing the contents. My hands were shaking. Can I see what's inside? Dorothy walked me to the box. Inside was a folder and letters, stacks of letters in my mother's handwriting, and a will, a handwritten will, dated June 2008, 1 year before she died, 1 year before Rebecca. My mother's handwriting was clear, elegant. At the top she'd written, "In the event of my death, this will supersedes any previous documents." She left the dental practice to me. She left her investment accounts to me. She left the house to my father, with the condition that if he remarried, it would pass to me after his death. And she left a letter addressed to me. "My dearest Maya," it read, "if you're reading this, I am gone, and things are not as I hoped they would be. I've been having headaches. The doctor thinks they're stress, but I'm terrified it's something worse. If it is, I need you to know something. Your father is a good man, but he is not a strong man. He will let people convince him to do things he doesn't believe in. There's a woman in his life now, Rebecca. I like her well enough, but I don't trust her with our family's future. I've written this will because I need to protect what I've built, not for me, for you, for your future. I love you. Trust yourself. Be brave. Mum." I read that letter 3 times in the bank vault, surrounded by my mother's financial legacy, while my father was erasing her memory in the house she'd paid for. I called Susan that day. "We have a case," she said immediately. "The handwritten will is valid. It's dated. It's signed. The letters establish intent and capacity.
Your father's new will, signed after your mother's death, directly conflicts with this one. In probate court, the earlier will, your mother's will, supersedes it. But there's more. Susan pulled up some documents. Your mother had a safety deposit box. Your father has power of attorney. He's been accessing and removing contents. That's theft, Maya. It's the theft of a deceased person's assets, and Rebecca has been advising him to do it. I hired Susan. We filed for probate. My father's lawyer sent a threatening letter. We're prepared to fight this in court, it said. Rebecca called me. Her voice was different now, no more warmth. You're turning against your father, she said. I'm protecting my mother, I said. Your mother is dead, and that's exactly why she can't protect herself. The probate hearing was set for March 15th, 2023. My father didn't look at me when we walked into the courthouse. Rebecca sat beside him, her jaw tight. The judge, a woman about 60, reviewed the documents. She held up my mother's handwritten will. This is extraordinary, she said. The handwriting is clear. The intent is explicit. Susan presented the letters. She presented the timeline of how my mother's assets were being systematically transferred after her death. She presented bank statements showing withdrawals my father had made on my mother's accounts after he'd obtained power of attorney. The judge looked at my father. Mr. Chen, did you discuss these transactions with your first wife before her death? My father's lawyer stood. There's no need to. The judge cut him off. I'm asking the witness. My father shook his head. No. Did your wife ever authorize you to withdraw funds from her accounts after her death? No, Your Honor. Then these withdrawals constitute theft from the deceased estate. Rebecca's face went white. I'm inclined to uphold the will executed by Patricia Chen on June 10, 2008. This will supersedes all subsequent documents. The dental practice goes to Maya Chen. The investment accounts goes to Maya Chen. The house remains with Mr. Chen for his lifetime, then passes to Maya Chen. All funds withdrawn in violation of the deceased's intent will be returned to the estate. She banged the gavel. The hearing was over in 30 minutes. My father didn't speak to me. Rebecca glared at me like I'd stolen her future. Because I had. I'd stolen the future she thought she was entitled to, and I'd returned it to the woman who actually earned it, my mother. Here's what happened after. My father and Rebecca divorced within a year. She tried to claim half of what remained of his assets. The judge ordered her to pay back what she'd convinced my father to steal. She moved to Arizona, and we never heard from her again. My father started therapy. Slowly he began to understand what had happened to him, how he'd been manipulated, how love for his dead wife should have meant protecting her legacy, not erasing it. 1 year after the probate hearing, he sat in my living room and cried. I'm sorry, he said, for allowing her to be forgotten, for not protecting what my mother built, for failing you. I forgave him, not because what he did was okay, but because I could see he finally understood. He helped me rebuild the dental practice. We restored my mother's name to the letterhead. We hired the staff she'd trained. We returned to the values she had established. We made it profitable again, and every dollar of profit has gone into a scholarship fund, the Patricia Chen Memorial Fund for Women in Medicine and Dentistry. Because my mother spent her life building things, and now we build in her name. But here's what I want you to know. My mother didn't win because she was clever. She won because she was prepared. She knew the world was uncertain. She knew people can change. She knew that love isn't always enough to protect what matters. So she documented everything. She wrote it down. She stored it safely. She made her intent clear. She gave me the tools to fight for her even after she was gone. That's the inheritance I actually received. Not money, though there was that, but the knowledge that you have to protect yourself and the people you love. You have to write things down. You have to be specific. You have to account for the possibility that the people you trust might fail you, because sometimes they do. Sometimes grief makes people weak. Sometimes new people come into our lives and ask us to erase the ones who came before. And if you don't have documents, if you don't have evidence, if you don't have your mother's voice on paper saying, "This is what I want," then you have nothing. I have a question for you. If something happened to you tomorrow, would the people you love know your wishes? Would your money go where you intended? Would your legacy be protected? Or would it be rewritten by whoever convinced your family they knew best? Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever had to protect someone's legacy? Have you ever fought for someone's memory? I read every single comment, and if this story meant something to you, share it. Share it with someone who needs to hear that documentation is love, that preparation is protection, that your voice matters even after you're gone. Thank you for listening to my story. I'll see you in the next one.